Be careful what you make agreements with, what kind of thoughts you make agreements with behind closed doors in terms of subliminally, those thoughts that come in, right? It's like, I had a buddy that he got delivered from alcoholism and drugs. He was coming to my Bible study. God had delivered him. And this was a buddy of mine growing up. And y'all already know my testimony. But he stayed in the life. I got out of the life. Well, years and years later, he sees me and he said, like, man, you're doing so well for yourself, this and that. So I invite him to a Bible study. So weeks and weeks passed by because he didn't come right away. But weeks and months passed by, and then I see him again, and then I invite him again, and it was kind of like one of those things. And then one time he just says, okay, I'll go. So he goes. And he had a powerful encounter with God. He started to cry under the presence. He got delivered that day, and he never wanted to go back to drugs ever again after that. He kept telling me, Mike, bro, I just feel so great. I feel so wonderful. And I have no need for it anymore. It's amazing. And so we kept doing the Bible studies and this and that. Now, Satan's job is to infiltrate, to divide, and to destroy. Remember? To steal, kill, and destroy. And so this guy, my buddy, he's on cloud nine, so to speak, just rejoicing at the fact that he doesn't have to smoke. He was a pothead. He would smoke weed every day, but not just that. You know, he had other like Xanax problem and drinking, but mainly weed was his thing that he wanted to quit. But anyways, long story short, God delivered him in the Bible study. He kept coming back week after week, and he was growing this fire and passion for God. But he had a long way to go. He had a long way to go with God in terms of learning God's ways, learning God's, part of learning God's ways is to know that He is the only way, the truth, and the life. When you have that fundamental truth, that no matter what persecution, no matter what life can throw at you, you're rooted in the truth already. So there's no place to go to search for a better outcome. God is the best outcome that there is out there. Where are you going to find better than God? Where? It doesn't exist. And so there's no alternative that's going to match God, right? There's alternatives, but it's going downwards, right? You left God for something else, and that's something else. Some people leave God for relationships. Oh, they found a man or a woman, and they get married, and they have relationships, and they used to be really, really tight with God, but they got, the alternative was that they wanted a love life with somebody else, and then they pay attention to God mediocrely after that. Right? They didn't leave them all together, but they mediocrely, they check in. But the fire, the passion, who they were with God is not who they are now, right? And so there's a lot of alternatives to kind of step away from God, right? Some people do it for different reasons, right? Some people leave God for sports or drugs or like I mentioned, relationships, this and that. And but what this video is about is to have that concrete in your mind and in your heart that God is the better choice of all choices. We must recognize who we were before God, what type of life we were living before God, how we feel when we're with God versus when we're separate from God. God created this world for us to enjoy with Him. But when you choose the world over God, then that's the form of idolatry that God is against, right? He's jealous for you because He loves you so much. So my buddy, he gets delivered in the Bible study. He's on cloud nine, and this goes on for about 3 months. There's a thought that enters into his mind. He tells me about this after, okay? But there's a thought that enters into his mind. Christmas is coming up. We all know festivities and holidays and how those things carry their own, the memories of past Christmases. He would get drunk and high and this and that. This is his first Christmas. So So he's looking at it, and he gets a thought. Where do you think that thought came from? It could have came from the flesh, but most likely I think it was a dart from the enemy. And this is the way he goes fishing. The enemy goes fishing. He doesn't know if you're going to bite the lure, but he'll go fishing. He'll put different thoughts in you, and all he is he's fishing. That's why God says, destroy those thoughts, cast those thoughts down, like shun them, rebuke them, right? So the enemy went fishing with my boy, and he said to him, hey, when Christmas comes around, you're gonna drink. And because he was going to his brother's house in Mexico, and and he made it about like seeing his brother that he hasn't seen in a long time and catching up over a few beers. And it seemed to my boy like, I haven't drank in about 3 months, man. I'm doing really, really good. Solid, I feel great, What's a couple of drinks gonna do? This is the rationalization, justification behind it all. So he goes, Christmas comes around, sure enough, he's already antsy to drink at this point because he's made up his mind that he's going to drink. But remember, the antsiness comes from making an engagement, an appointment to do it. The desire of the addiction that he had left him. So the addiction was, I don't care if you feel like drinking, you're going to drink and smoke and all the rest. That's the addiction talking. I don't care how you feel, you're just going to do it. And so that's what makes them a slave of that life. My buddy, he doesn't have that going on anymore at this point. Now he just received the thought, this is spiritual warfare 101, received the thought that he wasn't supposed to receive, that the enemy went fishing and he bit the lure. So then he goes to, and I want to talk about the consequences. He goes to his brother's house in Mexico. He drinks and this and that. He comes back, tells me that he fell. Right? Now, on the flip side here, what the enemy did in my Bible study is that he created a little bit of a friction between some of the people that were coming. And I'll tell you what it was, really. So like some people were talking about witchcraft in my house while I'm conducting sermons about God and I'm preaching on God. But after, where it was talking about like fellowship and everybody gets together, eats pizza or whatever, and just starts chit-chatting, there was some people there that were just talking about like the devil. And they were talking about witchcraft and the occult and this and that. And I just kind of, I wasn't mean about it, but I just said, hey, we don't want to talk about that here. We're about God here. We don't want to talk about that because it creates an atmosphere for those things to come. And that's what a lot of people don't know. When you talk about it, they come. So then the atmosphere gets all icky and this and that, and I don't feel like dealing with that, casting it out and this and that. Let's just not talk about it. Let's talk about happy things above, right? That's all I said, but they got sensitive, and then there was like a divide within the Bible study, something as silly as that. And with all that happening, my buddy fell off. Like he stopped coming to the Bible study. Right? That's all the enemy really needed, because the enemy doesn't need much to work with in your mind to tell you not to go back. Right? Sometimes there's nothing going on in that place that God is helping you in. There's nothing happening there, but there is this, I don't feel like going, I don't like it, or this or that. Like, that's the battle. That's the warfare. Those are the demons that don't want to go back. Right? So imagine if there's something that goes on within, then he'll just use that and be like, oh, you can't go back because there's division there and this and that. And basically, it makes a person feel like they're not going to go back to the place where God has them to receive help. So that's my buddy's story. Now, if you fast forward, that was, I want to say, about 5 years ago. He's still doing the stuff that he was doing when he got delivered. So when so what are we learning? The severity of getting back on track is not easy. You're gonna have to fight, and you're gonna have to battle and wage. Like, to stay on track, that's a fight. To get on track, that's a bigger fight. For people to leave their life of sin, that's a big fight, because you're fighting the flesh and demons. So you need all the help you can get. And where the help you can get that I'm talking about is like when you get baptized, as an example, chains fall off of you, right? You get delivered, right? When you pray, worship, when you renew your mind reading the Bible, when you congregate and fellowship with other believers, right? This is you transitioning from darkness to light. But all the while of doing this, because it's not yet a habit for you, all the while there's stuff that has a voice inside of you that says, I don't like this, I don't feel like I fit in, I feel like they're judging me, I feel like they don't like me, I feel like they're talking behind my back, I don't want to go back, and this and that. And these are the different lures that we have to overcome. There's no other way around it. It happens to everybody, and we just simply have to create tough skin. Tough skin. There's no other way around it. You're just going to have to face adversity, face uncomfortable situations, face things that you know the greater good of why you're there, and as a result, you're willing to face the opposition that wants you to keep you from coming back. And so everybody has that opposition, but not everybody's willing to take on the fight. Some people choose comfort over their salvation. Okay, so then I went through it many years of my life, and I put myself in situations where I didn't feel comfortable, but I knew that the greater good was for me to be there, because God was doing some stuff with me there, and I just knew that that's where I needed to be. But my flesh was wilding out. My flesh was saying, oh man, I don't like it here, man. Look at that person. Look at the way they're looking at me. Look at that person. And it was just so many reasons not to come back. But like I said, I knew in my heart, this is good for me. This is medicine for me. This is where I need to be. And so my eyes were on God and not on people. And that would be the secret antidote for anybody. So you let your eyes be on God and not people. Once I got that revelation of why I go to church, or there's that, I go to church for God, not people, right? People, you know, if they don't like you or this or that, then what are you going to do about that? In terms of like, okay, but am I going to stop going to church because of you? No. Because you get these types of people everywhere, all walks of life, right? They're everywhere. They're at work. They're everywhere. And so there's these people that you just don't mix with for whatever reason. You don't connect. But you choose God over it all, and you're not mean to them, and you don't do this or that. You just keep on your lane, so to speak. So it's 13 minutes in, almost 14 minutes. I don't want to make this video too long, but don't feed into these thoughts. My buddy would still be sober today, delivered today. He would have a family. He would have kids. You know, he's a single man living at home with his mom, and he's in his 40s. Now, when we were teenagers, we were getting high together and this and that. He's in his 40s doing the same thing he was doing when he was a teenager. And he's not married, he doesn't have kids, he doesn't have a family, he doesn't have his own stuff. And so, I don't have to tell you that is a sad life, right? You're made for better and for more. And what drugs do to you is they take the most significant parts of life out of you. Because those people don't have peace and stuff like that. Those are just significant parts of family, peace, So you can have something and lose it. You can have something with God and lose it. So we must be good stewards of that of which we have today, and not take it for granted, and be good stewards of what we have with God today. And with that comes a revelation of what could happen and how you preserve yourself, protect yourself, defend yourself in the spiritual realm from the darts that come against you, from the people that come knocking on your door, right? I'll give you an example. My supervisor, he knows I'm a Christian. He knows that my testimony and all this. And just about 2 hours ago, literally just about 2 hours ago, I heard him say something off the wall. Off the wall. I said, what did he just say that for? And what he said was, hey, we should go we should go grab a few beers, after this. My supervisor said that. I said, I didn't even respond to it because he changed the subject right after that and he started talking about something else. But I was just like, these are fishing lures. Fishing lures. Because the way that the devil works, one of the ways, is that he'll plant seeds in your mind. He'll use other people to water those seeds. And so we have to garden our mind. Garden in the sense of pull out the weeds. Pull out the bad stuff that looks like it's a setup for you to fall. Right? Preserve yourself from the fall. Before it ever gets to your house, you put boundaries, caution tape. You do whatever you need to do. I'm talking metaphorically, right? But I'm talking like delete numbers and contacts off of your phone that you know are going to get you into a place where you wish that you never gotten into. You do these things, right? And so, it works. Like in these programs, they end it with, it works if you work it, so work it, you're worth it. And it's true. It works if you work it. It's not easy, but it's worth it. So stick with it. But be careful with these subtle little lies and deception that the devil uses. Like lures to try to get you to fight their lure, right? There's nothing in this world of value that's eternal that's going to do it for you like Jesus. Nothing. Okay? There's people that had Jesus Christ as their king in the Bible, the Israelites. They said, we don't want God as our king. Get us a real king. Get us a physical king. And then they went out looking for Saul. Right? And look at the mess that they got with Saul. Right? Saul didn't have, like the right mind and the right heart for the job. Right? He was a coward, for example. Right? With Goliath and all this. But this is the point that I'm trying to make. I'm trying to make this point. God was in their life. He was stewarding them, right? But they wanted more, right? And that's often where the test comes in. The test comes in when you don't see a lot of action. You don't see a lot of things going on all around you in terms of fruitfulness. And you say to yourself, man, I can do this or I can do that better, right? If I just leave this arena, I can go. But what you find when we do that is thorns and thistles, problems and consequences. And we find that we're repenting afterwards. So where I feel God works with us is with patience and seeds. The seed starts to grow and grow and grow bigger and bigger in our life. Everything starts small. And then we water it every day. We water our prayer life, water our worship life with God. Essentially, we're growing God in our life every day. We're nurturing it, right? Nurturing our everything to do with God, right? And then it grows. Everything grows, and then you're starting to taste what the kingdom of God tastes like. Hope that makes sense to you. But never take the things of God and become so familiarized with it that you think that there's something that tastes better in this world. That's the deception. That's deception. Anybody with a revelation and wisdom knows that what I'm saying is true. Anybody that's tasted this world and knows what this world is all about understands that there's a lot of illusions out there. There's a lot of hype. If I could use that word, hype is inflation to inflate a situation more epic than what it actually is. And when people arrive, that's where the demons are. They take them away to a place where they go dry, they go desolate, like the prodigal son. So hopefully this video helps somebody. Something to think about. We are stewards, we're managers, right? We help other people, but we have to help ourselves as well. And we have to see the warning signs. We have to see danger before it ever comes around. Because the enemy's always looking for a way in. So, God bless you.